You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Welcome back to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. We're happy to have you. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Guys, if my mic sounds bad, it's because I'm wearing these little headphones. So. Nothing I can do about it.
If it sounds bad, that's because it is bad. Get over it.
I feel like we haven't had a real technical problem like for a while, so it was, bound to creep on up again.
This episode will record with an echo. We'll lose half of it. You've cursed us.
I feel like we had so many issues in the beginning that like we got it all out of our system for a long time. Every episode was a struggle.
We paid our dues to those gremlins.
And so, hey, I went to a show.
Yay.
Yeah, locally. This past weekend, over in Parkersburg, West Virginia, went to the Classic Plastics Toy Expo.
Yes.
Okay. Got it right.
The Parkersburg Art Center.
Yep. Second year I've went in a row. This year my wife went with me, and because she wanted, there was a booth that had a henna artist. She had had that girl do some henna on her before a couple times, and she decided, oh, that sounds like fun. So she went with me, and there were a lot of people there. But it was a good time. We went on Saturday. That was the only day we could go. It was a two-day event, and it was pretty cool. There was a lot of good vintage. A lot of the usual, like we said, a lot of the usual modern pops and Black Series and that type of stuff. But there was a good mix and quite a bit of vintage there. The main booth I wanted to go visit was the Stan Solo booth. I think we've talked about them before, but it's a small company that they have a couple different Etsy shops. The designer is in England, I do believe. Chris Smith is his name, but it just so happens that a local guy by the name of John Kelly is from Parkersburg, and he basically handles the US based sales, I think, for that company. So he had a booth last year, which really surprised me, and this year I made sure I checked ahead of time to make sure he was going to be there, so I didn't get caught off guard again and overwhelmed, and because there's just too many things too many choices to make if you want to buy something sometimes. So, but
so this guy, it's like accessories and
custom figures. So
custom figures.
Yeah. So they are not, they're not, they don't hold like a license agreement from Lucasfilm, but they do figures that are very vintage Kenner inspired. They look very close to original Kenner figures in their design, and even the plastics they use, they are not they are factory made, and it shows, so they're good quality. They are made in a factory over in China and imported in from his designs, but they sell loose, they sell carded. And it's some of the best stuff out there. He's been featured on tons and tons of YouTube toy guru pages, retro blasting and toy polloi and things like that. Analog toys. They have a big following. So, anyway.
How do you get that seal of approval as seen on YouTube? I would crave that.
They don't
for that
YouTube channels to just anybody. So, anyways,
he is known.
He is known. It is known. They are known. Yeah, I bought some stuff. Bought a couple figures that were never made in that original Kenner line. So, what they call the Hut Slayer Leia, and I got the Ula, to go in a nice little Jabba display, and I got some accessories, some, I don't really care about repro stuff. I know that's a big thing with some collectors. It has to be all original and has to, everything has to match the way it did in 1983. And I don't care about that so much. I'm not reselling it. So, if I can pay $3 for a little accessory rather than, paying 15 or more, on eBay or from some other seller, I don't care. If it looks cool, that's all I'm in it for. But so I brought home a little haul, and it was a pretty good show. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of people there. Got my wife bought a couple art prints from somebody that she thought, hey, that looks cool, and bought some, got Carly a couple different things, and so yeah, we came home with a little haul. It was a good show. I think everybody was pretty happy with it, so nice to see local things happening every now and again. So,
and they just announced they're going to start doing that twice a year. So if you missed this one and you're local to Parkersburg, September 2nd and 3rd, they're going to be doing it again this year. So you don't have to miss the fun.
Crazy.
That was a free plug, by the way. No, that was not. Yeah. We are not compensated in any way.
Mm-mm. We
not even free admission. Those cheapskates.
Yeah. Some places will send us free weekend passes.
They need to step up their game, swag game.
I don't know if you convinced them to become a sponsor with that turn towards the end.
Yeah.
Against them when you guys
I took a passive aggressive path when I should have been a little more.
Oh well.
All right. So speaking of all these Star Wars goodness, we had a cool show return. The Mandalorian is back for season 3, and we are on top of it. I assume we are all on top of it.
Yes, sure. By on top of it, you mean watched it.
Yes. And all of our gushing and love for Andor, all of our head scratching and meh about Boba Fett. I don't know where does the old Mando fall? When this show premiered, I mean, what was cooler than Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Now it just seems a little bit like, oh, Mando's back. I guess I'll watch that. Like, how spoiled are we?
I was still pretty excited about it. I have to admit, I was ready when it premiered that Wednesday. I was ready to get off work and just to come home and sit down and be able to watch something I'm actually anticipating. And I thought it was pretty good, that first episode. I saw some mixed reviews, but it just felt like a Mandalorian episode to me. Everything looked cool like it should, and it was just more adventure.
I'm still a sucker. Baby Yoda still does it for me. Does something cute. And I was like, look at that little guy. Like, I'm still falling for it. The gimmick has not worn off on me.
No, I do feel like they've, they absolutely are paying attention to what people like and throwing more of that into the show, which that's fine. I mean,
yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so we got some.
Oh, you wanna just go through the episode a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
So So chapter 17 was called the Apostate. That is a person who renounces a religious or political belief. So that's old Din himself.
We got a few apostates.
Who are we talking about? Okay. So
because I mean, not only is Mando and Bo-Katan, but Baby Yoda is really renounced.
True, he turned his back on the way of the Jedi.
That's right.
All right, so I think it started with this helmet ceremony. I thought maybe it was a flashback.
I think
I
think everybody thought it was a flashback there for the first couple minutes.
Yeah, so we're seeing how they bestow a helmet onto a youngling in this kind of baptism type ceremony, and then you got to stop and fight a big alligator monster, as you do.
Yeah. Old TikTok croc popped up there and tried to eat them all.
I forget that they said that kid was related to somebody.
There is speculation that the kid is I'm trying to think of the name. Paz Vizsla's son. I think that's his name.
Oh no, I meant
the big guy.
I meant
Are you talking about the actor?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a Nepo baby situation.
Ah. It's always a Nepo baby situation.
So it seemed like it took them a long time to defeat that thing for these great warriors with great technology and weapons and jetpacks and stuff.
That thing was tough.
Have a fun little action scene.
You can't just be in the armor and run at it with a hammer and expect to beat a big old crocodile like that.
So
it was stupid when they shot tied their ropes to it or whatever. I was like, this is the stupidest idea. And of course, what happened. I'm like, I don't know why they thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, they seem to be. I don't know. Anytime one of them is in a fight, that's one of the go-to moves.
That kid is Jimmy Kimmel's nephew.
Cousin Sal's boy.
I don't think so. No, Jonathan Kimmel is his father.
Wow, that's pretty nepo.
Nepo nephew.
That's pretty nepo.
So we reinforce the idea that one who has taken off his helmet or in some way turned his back on the faith can be redeemed in the mines of Mandalore and end the decree of exile. So to this display of faith can get you back in the good graces of this religious extreme side of the culture. So that's what he's going to do. He hops in his wheels and takes off through hyperspace, and we see what are those things in those phantom fish out in hyperspace?
The space whales.
Is that a reference, I'm assuming, to something?
They are Purgle, I think is the correct name, but they are space whales. They travel through hyperspace.
Does Stan Solo make any of those?
Not yet, but I'm sure it's coming.
Okay.
It's the end of Rebels.
Yeah. Ezra and Thrawn.
Spoilers for Rebels. If you weren't going to watch Rebels, you're never going to watch it if you haven't watched it by now. But at the end of the Rebels story, when it was kind of the whole thing with Thrawn, didn't the whales, like, what'd they do to him? What was the deal?
Yeah, Ezra and Thrawn were on a ship, and Ezra has some sort of connection with animals in general, but yeah, he had I think, if memory serves, he kind of calls the space whales, and then they take off through hyperspace, ship and all.
Yeah, so that's what building to. This was like a little sprinkling of that to see them in live action, and then whenever I'm assuming we probably won't see them again until the Ahsoka series,
Right?
When she goes into that storyline.
So it's all connected, right? That's what we like. So he goes to Navarro, which this is the planet where what's his name? Keith?
Grief Karga.
Grief, not Keith. That's right.
It's Chubb's Fett.
Yes.
Right, Chubb's Fett is running a respectable town here.
Yes.
There's a statue to IG-11 in the town square. The droid who saved them. We've got nice little shops and schools, and it's not a hive of scum and villainy anymore. So Mando went. He wanted to recruit IG-11, right? He needed a droid he could trust to get back to Mandalore.
Yeah, he's very so adamant about that I was like, I mean, well, we know he started out, he just didn't like droids at all, and now he found one he liked. So by all, I mean that, I don't care if it's dead. We're bringing back to life. It's the only droid I like.
Yeah. Now the actor, and I did not know this until the other day. The actor that did the voice for IG-11 has passed away since. So there's a lot of speculation about.
I thought it was Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi died?
Oh, maybe I'm completely. I read an article online that was talking about the guy that did the voice had passed away for IG-11. So I don't know.
It was Taika did the.
I was thinking it was Taika Waititi.
Okay. Never mind.
Maybe it was an IG-88 from the original series. Maybe.
Well, I'll have to go back and look.
All right, so these pirates show up, and they want to have a drink at a school, I guess.
the school
usually want to have a drink where they always drink.
Yeah, let me in this school. Yeah, there's little milks. There's got to be the little cups of milk or little cardboard things of milk. So they show him who's boss and run him off or kill him, except for one, and tell him go tell everybody it's respectable now.
I feel like if he wouldn't have been there, they were gonna. It just seemed like, you're showing how civilized this place is now, and Chubb's Fett has everything in hand.
He's got those little droids at the bottom of his robes.
Holding his robes. Yeah, I'm like, this is all great, except the first pushback you get here, if the Mandalorian wasn't there, you were done.
Yeah, you're all done.
I feel like it wasn't gonna go so great.
They were gonna drink all those kids' drinks. So we got a reference to Cara Dune and where she is and why we'll never see her again. She was recruited by the Special Forces. So she's off on her home planet.
Yes.
She's fine. It's all fine.
We wouldn't even be watching. We wouldn't even have Mando season 3 because we'd be watching that probably right now.
Right. Poochie went back to his home planet.
Right.
All right. So they get.
Go ahead. I'll
say they get the remains of IG from the statue and want to reboot him. That's a bad idea because he goes back to original Terminator mode, and his prime directive was capturing the child, right, from that first episode. So that was a good scene. That was a good scary scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who can fix a droid when it's gone crazy? Those little Babu Fricks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow, they're just Babu Fricks.
Well, that's a specific one. I don't know what species they are. But.
Yeah, what are they, Cliff?
Oh, it starts with an A. I don't remember. I know it starts with an A.
Okay, well, whatever. They're Babu Fricks now.
Yeah.
They're the best droid smiths in the
Babu
galaxy.
Freakies.
Yeah.
And we don't know if one of those was Babu Frick.
Yeah, it could have been.
And the best part, well, first off, it's a little bit on the nose that's everyone. It's like, I don't know. it's like that's a real D&D problem too. If you're like, okay, you're an elf, you use a bow and arrow. If you're one of Babu Freakies, you work on things.
You're a
really
droid
good.
smith. Yeah.
And I like that the best part was the conversation. You can tell exactly what they're saying, and he's having to translate. It was so funny to me. It's like, it's clear as heck what he said, but he does not understand at all.
I love that whole scene of them, the scale of them having to like hunch down. I like Grogu trying to give him a hug. Like that all worked for me really well.
Yeah, that was good.
We learn he needs a memory circuit, and those are hard to come by. So he gets back into his ship to go figure that out, and gets into a pirate chase, dogfight with all these space pirates.
The Attack of the Clones vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, that green Pizza the Hut guy.
Yeah. I was thinking Moss Man or Swamp Thing.
Yeah. There actually there has been
Salad Man.
Salad the Hut. There's some speculation that those might, or at least the green guy might be the villain from the Skeleton Crew series that's upcoming. Just because they, obviously spent a lot of money making them on design and costuming and for just to be on screen for 5 minutes in one episode.
Oh well, 100%. He has made this choice to leave. This is the way, which that saying has really took. I love the meaning. How in the first season we're like, yeah, this is the way. Now we're like, no, you stubborn a-hole. There's more than one way. There's other ways.
Yeah. And
it doesn't have to be that way in your stupid religion. And he's made this choice to leave. And so when he comes back, I'm assuming these gangsters have taken over that planet. He's abandoned them.
Yeah.
He kicked him out, but he's not there anymore because he's got to go do his thing, and left them to their, they're going to take over.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm wondering, that we all love that, oh, this is the way. Yeah, that's hardcore. He's a cool dude. But it's like, at what point do we stop rooting for him to do this quest? Like, what do we even want him to succeed and become one of these very strict, rule-following, religious zealots again? Like,
yeah, I think it's all pretty obvious that he's just stupid now. He's made the wrong decision. He's making the wrong decision. Like everybody else is, literally everybody is like trying to tell him this isn't, stubborn. This is not, this isn't it. That ain't it.
So he gets away from the pirates and heads to Kalevala Castle. Does that sound right?
Sure.
Okay, where Bo-Katan's just hanging out, sitting in a throne.
Yeah.
Katie Sackhoff returns.
Yeah, it's a video game. If you come back there and she's still sitting there.
She doesn't have a lot going on apparently.
No.
But she says she has nothing left. There's not, we get a little hint of what happened to the rest of her crew. And I think that's it for the first episode there. So episode 2, chapter 18, The Mines of Mandalore. We get back to Amy Sedaris. We get back to
Spicy
planet.
Papitas.
Is that Tatooine?
Yeah.
Spicy Papit droids.
Well, along with this pit droids, there happens to be an R5-D4 astromech hanging out. She says it's built for adventure.
Yeah. Watch out for that motivator.
This is the original droid. If you didn't catch that reference, the one Owen tried to buy before getting R2-D2 that set the whole thing in motion. And I saw a thing somewhere said that both the old canon and the current Disney canon establish that he purposefully blew himself up to help R2-D2 get the Death Star plans to
That would
Obi-Wan.
have been great if he did it again right now. That would have been awesome. If he did.
Is that canon that we knew of?
I've heard that before in
I've
a
heard
story.
it,
Yeah.
a million times. But...
Yeah.
And then it said, as explained in the From a Certain Point of View book, that is the short stories about side characters that we had just talked about the other day. That is canon. There's a story in there apparently about R5 being so touched by R2's commitment.
I read that.
Did you read that one?
Yeah.
That R5 escaped the Jawas and went off in search of a way to help the Rebel Alliance. So that's what Amy Sedaris is talking about when she says, she says something about him helping the rebels or something.
Yeah.
So she wasn't just blowing smoke. R5 is he's a key cog in the rebellion apparently.
Which is a little strange because the way they, he's kind of scaredy cat in the episode, but a little bit, but yeah. It's nice to, it's always nice to see those little bit characters come back every now and again.
What motivation for those of us who are old and broken down that we can still contribute to the greater good. All right, so she doesn't have a memory circuit. That's a crazy ask, I guess, for Tatooine. So R5 gets fitted up into his new jalopy, and they head to Mandalore. And he sends him out to test the atmosphere, and he blips off the screen. He disappears. So he's got to go. He's got to go get him himself.
Very Star Trek-y planet here. Like, they get off. There's some rocks.
Yeah.
So this planet has been destroyed. The Purge, it was called, right? Mandalore has been destroyed
by the Empire.
For reasons that I'm sure you can find elsewhere.
Yeah, in the Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And Rebels. So, yeah.
Okay.
Mandalore was already, they had much, they like Death Watch, they had groups that had been banished. There were constantly civil war and infighting between the Mandalorians, different clans and houses, and some of them had been banished to the moons, and to, basically they lost and couldn't live on the main planet anymore. And then because they were all, as a people, very separated, when it came time to, fight against the Empire, they were weak, and the Empire realized that and basically just, destroyed the whole planet, the main planet, but left the moons alone. And like they say in Clone Wars, Mandalore the cities were giant domes, basically. And they just came in and, were easy targets. And then there were survivors left across the galaxy. Some of them, like Death Watch, left on certain moons to, survive. But yeah, they were just an easy target, and they blew them up.
So to Din's thinking, no one can survive on this planet. It's poisoned. He's not expecting to find anyone there.
Right. That's what was always, told was you couldn't breathe the air. It was poison. It was toxic. There was nothing, it had been turned to glass on the surface. So that was the narrative that everybody went with.
Well, surprise. There's these cave critters running around.
Morlocks.
He has to
Mandalore Yetis.
Yeah.
He has to bring out the old Darksaber that he's still not that good with and take care of him that way.
He's a brute force guy.
I think he did. He wrapped him up with a grappler again, didn't
Yep.
he?
That's the go-to
Just
move.
got the one move. All right, so he's makes his way to the civic center where Bo-Katan told him to go. That's where he'll find these mystic waters. And there's debris, and he wipes off a helmet, an old Mandalore helmet. Boom! He's caught by a creepy crab-looking droid with spider leg things, and he's all captured. That, and I was thinking that would have been a cool playset as a kid, like have the spidery thing with a net that would capture, jump out. That would be awesome.
Mad scientist spider critter.
Yeah.
Of Mandalore.
So he tells Grogu, get to Bo-Katan, and we get a high-speed Grogu getaway. He has to motor his way out of that cave. There's bats with wings, or dragon monsters with wings, and he gets to the ship, and R5 gets him away, gets him back to Bo-Katan. He learned. We've brought up several times how navigating the galaxy is an important thing for Mandalorian. He's apparently taken that lesson to heart because he knows how to navigate and get back to that planet.
Well, also he had an astromech droid in the back.
Right. He pointed though. He told him where to go. So she didn't want to see him again and realize, oh no, I got to help the baby. So she tells him, I knew quite a few Jedi. I was like, I'm sure everybody was, I know, that's the thing I know. She's interacted with these characters.
Old Obi-Wan was down with her sister there for a while. Till she died.
Satine?
Yes.
Is that her name?
Yep. That was her name.
So Bo-Katan to the rescue. I saw somebody say she did a speed run. It took Din. he did the first life and sucked at it, but Bo-Katan just ran right through and whooped everybody. Yeah. And was much better.
She's all a totally different fighter. Like she's all finesse and
much better use of the Darksaber.
Right. Yeah, she was pretty badass in this episode.
Yeah, she came. I wonder if he didn't have that Darksaber, if she got out off her throne.
I saw people debating that, whether she had earned, he was defeated in combat or whatever the rules are for if it could be rightfully hers now, but he didn't offer it. So they got him free. The thing was put a tube in him, was going to suck his blood out or something. They didn't really explain what was going on.
Doing some gross stuff. This thing is crazy. Who knows what it was going to do?
They got away from that, had some soup, had a little chat, and made it to the living waters beneath Mandalore for their baptismal ceremony. She reads off the plaque that was there for all the tourists.
Here you go. The living waters. Hold on. I want you to get the full tour. These mines date back to the age of the first Mandalore. According to ancient folklore, the mines were once a mythosaur lair. Mandalore the Great is said to have tamed the mythical beast. It is from these legends that the skull signet was adopted and became the symbol of our planet. This is it.
And he walks into the water.
With his armor on.
With his armor.
With his armor on. But she was a little surprised.
Right to the bottom.
Yeah. But she was a little surprised by his, seeing it a little bit through his eyes of what he believed. She hadn't seen that for a long time, if ever, at least in her lifetime.
Because she had done it, but it wasn't a religious feeling to her. It was just like obligation, family stuff, right?
Yeah, she grew up that way, and she's, I don't know, just a little disillusioned with the religion.
Well, yeah, but not only that, the planet, the Mandalorian people, they they took their helmets off. They weren't, so they didn't have that dedication to that ancient religion the way Death Watch did. And the way Din was raised on that moon, to believe all of this, that all Mandalorians believe this and all Mandalorians did this and were so deeply into that religion. And she just, she grew up in a different place that it just wasn't that way. It was not the way.
If there was some way to describe what way it was. So he takes a couple steps into the water, and it's a feeling of like, oh, here he goes. He's gonna be redeemed, and then plunk. So does he sink? Does he fall? Is he pulled? I couldn't quite make out.
He sunk.
Sunk. Just that Beskar is
my
pretty dense.
interpretation. He got in there and sunk to the bottom, and then the pressure got to him. I think
That last step was a doozy.
Like, yeah. It's like, hey, dummy.
So once again, he's in trouble. Bo-Katan's got to save him. She dives in, and we see a big monster.
That's a mythosaur.
Is that a mythosaur?
Oh, by the end of this season, he'll be riding it.
Oh, man. He'll make Boba Fett riding that Rancor look silly.
That's the whole setup. We saw that, and then we're gonna eventually see him on this freaking mythosaur.
It'll be a kaiju battle for the ages.
Thing's gonna eat that plant pirate. So there we go. That's the kickoff season 3, first 2 episodes. I'm into it. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're going from here, but I'm excited to see.
And well, what the best part is, that's it. That's the best part. Is what we thought could have been the whole freaking season.
Episode 2.
Trying to get there and then go to the water. He's already done it. Okay,
this epic
great.
quest, that didn't need to be,
Yep. So now who knows what with it?
Yeah.
Anything could happen.
Yeah. There were some reports. I don't know. Did you guys see the reports about Jon Favreau, fighting in season 2 or before season 2 with Kathleen Kennedy? No. There was a news story out there that apparently he was ready to walk, he felt they were, or at least she was interfering. I don't have anything against Kathleen Kennedy personally, but there's got to be a reason why there's so much bad press about her. But yeah, he was ready to leave the show and take off, and said the only reason or the only way they could keep him around is if they let him do season 3 the way he wanted to do it, and stop interfering on the plot and how he was writing the episodes. So I don't know.
Can't wait for the tell-all.
Oh, I know.
Eventually there'll be a book about it.
The book of something.
Yeah.
So
far so good. We'll see. It's pretty light.
we had a good to end our Star Wars stuff here. Pretty good episode of Bad Batch this week if you haven't watched it.
I didn't get to watch it
Okay.
yet, so shut it down.
It's a good one.
Shut it down.
You'll like it.
I heard. I'm sure.
So, well, if you want,
there's only been one. Episode 3 was the only one I'd really liked so far. The rest of them were like mediocre, whatever. They were totally fine, but that one with Captain Cody, was Commander Cody. It was good, and then Crosshair, and I was like, get back to that story. So
yeah, you'll like this week's. Last thing I have on Disney Plus related is I I would speculate in the history of this podcast, I have told more stories and admitted to liking more things than I probably ever would have, imagined otherwise. And I found myself tonight, after I got off work and dinner, looking through Disney Plus and got a little too excited that this week, new release, Endless Summer Vacation special, Miley Cyrus, guys. It was pretty damn good. I will admit, I am somewhat of a Miley fan, and I never thought I would say that, but I think in today's...
Does this come from your daughter? Like, is it seeping
No.
through her fandom? Oh, it's just you.
No, it's just me. She could have cared less. But, as far as, like pop stars of today or the last, 15 years or whatever it's been, like, I think she's pretty high on the list. Like, music wise, I like her stuff way more than I should. So she had this new album come out, and Disney Plus, they have a new special where I don't know if it's her home in California. I don't know if they rented a place. I have no idea. I've no background information, but it's just her and a band and
what kind of fan are you?
Singing her songs off this new album, and I enjoyed it way too much.
That's quite all right. No judgment here. Speaking of pop stars and singing, The Masked Singer is this huge cultural hit, right? Anybody watch that?
Nope.
My parents.
Well, apparently this week they had DC Heroes Night.
Oh, I did see something. I think
everybody
I saw a commercial.
Costumes and all kinds of stuff, and I guess Jim Lee was a special guest.
Huh.
So I don't know what kind of corporate synergy this was, but Jim Lee came out with a drawing that he did of Batman that had some kind of clue in it. That was trying to help give a clue to the unmasking.
Really?
I don't know how
The judges. Yeah.
But so I saw a minute of it. Like Jenny McCarthy was in a Harley Quinn outfit, and somebody was dressed like Robin, and somebody was the Riddler. So I'm sure Warner Brothers has some great corporate idea to make this all work.
That's really strange because that show's on Fox.
Yeah, I'm
And
not
Fox
sure how.
is now owned by Disney.
Oh, true. But yeah, I don't know who produces the show or how
Yeah.
any of that works. But yeah, Jim Lee, celebrity Jim Lee. I'm sure everyone's
Everybody at
parents
home.
watching this show
Yes.
were like, "Oh,
Hey, there's
the
Jim
guy who
Lee.
drew Hush. Oh, I like him."
Huh.
But the reason I saw it is because I flipped over. I wanted to watch the first few minutes of Farmer Wants a Wife. Did everyone's, I'm sure, up on that, right?
Man, I felt bad about my Miley Cyrus stuff.
I'm
watching
trying to get you
Farmer
back
Wants
here.
a Wife.
No, I wanted, because the commercials all played Country Roads, Take Me Home. So I'm like, is this set in West Virginia? I wanted to see if they're down in Boone County somewhere, like, yeah, I need a wife. And it is not that. I watched the first 5 minutes. They didn't say where this took place, but it looked like a Hollywood set somewhere. I'm sure it wasn't really a backwoods, down and dirty farming. But so sorry, can't give a good recommendation of Farmer Wants a Wife.
I've been watching Australian Survivor.
That's not a Survivor. This is a Survivor.
Yeah. It's great. Good stuff. It's better than the American one. It's good. I'm in Australia right now, according to my computer. It's 30 degrees Celsius and mostly sunny.
So I imagine they don't go to like a remote island. It's just like, a bad
Yeah,
part of Australia.
I had watched like the first 6 seasons, and I missed the last one. I buzzed through season 7. They were in Australia and just the outback, and then season 8 they're in Samoa, which is that's where Survivor did, their American did for a while. But yep, they're it's just good. They have a really good approach to it. They keep the story exciting, and I don't know. There's something. I don't know. I don't really want to go into it. There's too much to go into. But it's a good Survivor. If you like Survivor, Australian Survivor is doing it better than anybody right now.
How many versions are there?
There's some everywhere.
Every country.
Yeah. So, like, there's Big Brothers everywhere. Big Brother Canada season 10 or 11 just started this week. I may watch that. They don't have live feeds, though, anymore. They're starting this year, and everybody lost their minds. And so the American Big Brothers, that we are still going to have live feeds. It's like, you don't have live feed, and 100% the reason they did it, I'm sure they saw what happened to Kyle. And they were like, okay, we could have a little more control over that. All these other shows, reality shows, pick and choose what they actually show you and control the narrative. We can do that. Well, you can, but that's not what Big Brother is. The whole point of Big Brother is the live feeds.
The genie's out of the bottle now. It wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
Once you've had that access, you can't lose it.
Mm.
Yeah. So they would. I hope the American Big Brother doesn't do that. Yeah. I went and saw Creed.
Oh,
Creed
did you?
3.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I did, and it was a terrible experience.
Really?
I won't be driving to Athens as often as I thought I was going to. It looked horrible. I mean, I don't know what was going on. It just looked bad. It was dark and out of focus. And I went out there and said something. The lady seemed to know that it didn't look that great, and she tried to say it was something about I think it was the motion capture, how they did that. It's during the action scene, right? I was like, no, it looks bad when you're sitting in the apartment. That's when made me get up. I was just like, there was something with text on it, and you could barely read it. I'm like, something's wrong. And she went and tried to fix it, but it didn't get any better. I was like, yep, I'm not driving an hour for this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I'm finally gonna try to get me a really big TV.
The quest continues. We thought the quest was over really fast, but
yeah,
there's more to it. There's more adventures to be had.
I had ChatGPT write a review of Creed, but there was in the form of a limerick. You guys did the ChatGPT? Cliff, you done any of that?
Mm-mm.
You know what it is?
Yes.
Okay. I said, write a review and make it a bad one. So there was a movie called Creed 3, and it was a massive disappointment to me. The plot was bland and unoriginal. The acting was wooden, simply habitual. Overall, a complete waste of money, you see. Terrible. But I added a moose. You have to add a moose. Did you know that, Cliff?
What's that?
You have to add a moose to your story.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's a rule I came up with.
Oh, okay.
I came up with that rule.
It sounded a little. It sounded a little Dr. Seuss. I thought you said Dr. Seuss there for a minute. I was like, yeah, I will not watch it in this box. I will not watch it with a fox.
Yeah.
We got to keep these robots on their toes. We can't just let them write straight reviews. We got to throw a moose in there.
Yeah, well, we went to trivia the other night, and I made up a story about. I had it make up a story about Jordan screwing up the trivia question. That's what you were saying. I was like, Cliff has no idea what this is about.
Yeah, I thought about actually going to trivia the other night. And I was like, nope.
What
I
happened?
gotta stay home. I gotta sit down. I gotta edit this Riverdale podcast episode while you guys are out having fun and probably winning free food. I'm gonna sit here and in my living room and
happened?
just do it.
Jordan, were there any questions we missed that were up his alley?
Oh, there were questions we missed, but I don't know that anyone would have been a help to that.
We still crawled our way into second place. So. That's still money on food on the table.
Yeah.
Get us back there.
Marietta trivia hustle.
Anyway, I didn't think the movie was that great anyway, and I like the first Creed, and I like sports type movies, and I thought this was going to be great. Jonathan Majors in it. Really excited, and it fast forwarded through the plot to the guy. This isn't any kind of spoiler you need to worry about, but the guy's like, you see in the trailer, his friend went to jail or whatever, gets out, and now he wants to box.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he never did anything. He was never really a boxer since like high school or whatever, and now all of a sudden he's fighting for the heavyweight championship. What?
He's Mr.
Just
T.
like, it just didn't make any sense. They could have took their time and made this story slightly believable, but nope, none of that. Really annoyed me and didn't help that it looked terrible. But there was some interesting things. He kind of tried it. Michael B. Jordan's a big anime fan, and so there was some anime notes to it, and kind of neat. A couple interesting things he did, but I thought the final fight was very anticlimactic and wasn't special at all to me. But I am not the consensus view. Many people loved it, but I don't know why.
They thought Creed was fighting Kang.
Yeah. I mean, these guys looked freaking incredible. They're both like in the wildest shape of their lives. It's insane, how in shape they are. And like, even though they're trying to convince you that Michael B. Jordan's old and washed up.
Yeah, he's over the hill, right?
Yeah. Like, okay. Yeah, he looks pretty bad. Can't believe he's trying to do this. Oh, well. Can't win them all.
Yeah, I don't really have much else. I was just saying I'm still highly enjoying the Big Brunch on HBO. I talked about it a few episodes ago when it was just getting started. It's continued to be great. I don't normally go for like cooking shows, but this one is
the Big Brunch? What is it?
The Big Brunch on HBO Max. It's from Dan Levy, and yeah, it's a brunch based cooking. That's the theme. Is every episode we're gonna have a big brunch.
Gonna brunch it up,
and it's a very positive and delightful, and just has a very diverse cast with all kinds of backgrounds and inspiration, and it's pretty cool. They're all the prize, I think, is $300,000 to the winner. So I've got one episode left, I believe. I'm down to the last 3 contestants, so yeah, I was all caught up into it tonight before we hopped on here, but it's really good. I like it.
All right, let's shut her down.
Whimper, not a bang here. I think we've run through everything.
My freaking roof caused me a lot of trouble this week, so I just didn't have time to watch anything.
Yeah.
And
next time we do this, it'll be the day I get a new roof. I had to call an Amish guy named Merlin.
Merlin?
Ooh, I like it.
Merlin the Amish guy.
That's an anecdote waiting to happen.
Yes.
Book your calendar now for that anecdote.
Yeah.
Can we get Merlin on the podcast?
I don't know if he's allowed.
I doubt it.
He had a phone and an iPad.
Oh,
so,
wow. What kind of Amish is this?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's probably like, what's with that mic? That mic's a piece of junk there. You gotta upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. I was like looking over his shoulder. He's showing me on his iPad the like different, on Google Maps, like places they've done. I'm like, wait a minute. I felt like I needed to like say, whoa, buddy. How do you know how to do this?
Yeah.
I don't wear buttons, but I've got Google Maps.
Are you sure you're Amish?
As Weird Al said.
You should have asked him a trivia question. Like, what time is milking?
I was just like, he's like, my name's Merlin. And I was like, there's a guy with a beard on my porch named Merlin, and he's going to fix my roof 100%. I don't need another estimate. This is my guy.
Yeah. Write a check.
So that's happening, which I posted on Facebook. When I went to put it on my calendar, it's the exact same date that I'm getting my second shot for the shingles vaccine. Mm-hmm. So I just put shingles twice. Just like,
you got to double down on the shingles.
I don't know if anybody else has ever done that in the same day. Like, this is amazing. I'm actually a little excited about that.
All right, that ends it on a high note. I like that. That's good. But our schedule's a little off, a little unlucky. As we're recording right now, the Oscars are this weekend, and there are one more episode of The Last of Us. So we will definitely cover that stuff when we can. But we didn't. Well, you'll have seen The Last of Us before we get to talk about it. So we will catch up on that when we see you next. Till then, my name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.